Hey hockey fans, welcome to Goal Line Hockey. As today we're going to take a look at the Western Conference Final as we look at the St. Louis Blues and the San Jose Sharks. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and a subscribe. Let's dive into this series. Alright, so the St. Louis Blues and the San Jose Sharks are your finalists for the Western Conference. We're the final four teams left in the NHL going for the Stanley Cup. And the two teams in the West marching their way to the Cup are the Blues, who knocked out the Dallas Stars in 7 games. Patrick Maroon, a double overtime game winner. Unbelievable story. His son was in attendance. A really, really nice ending in that series. And the San Jose Sharks, who last summer got Erik Karlsson. They beat the Vegas Golden Knights in Game 7 in a controversial call, some may say. They go into round 2. They play the Colorado Avalanche, who they take them to 7 games, and led by Nathan MacKinnon, they almost won that series. Joe Pavelski comes back in Game 7, puts on an unbelievable performance. He looks ready to go. Let's dive into the forwards, the defense, and goaltending comparisons between these two teams. So looking for the forwards, I have the San Jose Sharks, and this is tough for me, but it's a little bit easier for the fact that San Jose, throughout the lineup, we've really seen guys like Timo Meier, become bigger name guys, while some guys like Jonas Donskoy have kind of fallen off a little bit. He got a goal in Game 7 in the last series, but people have been expecting a little more from him. Obviously, the big guys like Joe Thornton, Joe Pavelski, Logan Couture, Thomas Hertl, Evander Kane. You go up and down. There's a really good hockey team in San Jose, and I really like that top 6. On the other side, the St. Louis Blues have a really good core as well, but led by Ryan O'Reilly and Vladimir Tarasenko, Braden Shen, Jaden Schwartz, Robbie Fabry, all those guys, they are all pretty important pieces for this hockey team, but they were a little bit dormant toward the end of the series against the Dallas Stars, and it was the big guys like Pat Maroon and that Robert Thompson, Pat Maroon, and David Perron. Is Perron still there? That line. And I think they played pretty well in Game 7, obviously getting the game-winning goal. Tyler Bozak, that's who it was. I'm sorry about that. I had a brain mess up. But, yeah, but that line has been really good for the St. Louis Blues. I believe that's their third line, so need to see a little bit more from that top 6 for the St. Louis Blues if this is going to be a series. They need some goal scoring from those big guys up front. Looking at the defense, I also have the edge to San Jose, and that's because of the guy I mentioned earlier, Erik Karlsson. Erik Karlsson and Brent Burns on any defense, that's one of the top pairings in hockey right now. That is a really, really good pairing, and we'll see what happens with that. But I mean, you look at the depth. You've still got Marc-Edouard Vlasic, Justin Braun, a really, really strong core. And St. Louis has some guys of their own. They've got Colton Parayko, Alex Pietrangelo, Joel Edmondson, Jay Bouwmeester. So they've got a group of guys as well. But I really like San Jose's top 4 on the back end. It's really, really strong, and one of the strongest in the NHL. Definitely top 10 in the NHL. Okay, now looking at goaltending, and this was a little bit of a toss-up, just because of how well Martin Jones has played, through these first 2 rounds of the playoffs. He really struggled during the regular season. There were rumors at the deadline that, San Jose would consider bringing in a new guy to help backstop the St. Louis Blue, the San Jose Sharks. So, But unfortunately, I'm going with Jordan Binnington. I think, being a young guy, and I think he has a lot. He's people are saying, he has nothing to prove. No, he has something to prove. He wants to keep going, and I love his mentality. He's, throughout the whole season, they have clips of him talking to, reporters and kind of just saying one-word answers, or very, not very detailed answers, and I think that's going to benefit him, and especially during the playoffs. But I don't know. I don't doubt Martin Jones because of how well he's played in the past, especially in the Stanley Cup playoffs. So this was a little bit of a toss-up, but I really like Bennington. So I went with St. Louis on this one. Okay, so now looking at the season series between these two teams. St. Louis won the first meeting between these two teams 4-0. 4-0 San Jose, so they each got 4-0 victories off each other, and then 3-2 San Jose in overtime. So San Jose won 2 of the 3 matchups, but it's a little bit of a toss-up. It's a 1-goal game in an overtime, 1-goal game in the third matchup. So this is a pretty, based off of the season series. It doesn't tell us everything, but we'll see how close it gets from the season series for this series. Now, my predictions. All right, so my prediction is the San Jose Sharks win this series in 7 games. So I have both the East and the Western Conference Finals going to 7 games. I'm playing it safe. Yeah, you know what? I think San Jose ends up winning this series. These two teams are really close, and you're probably not going to know who's going to win on any given night. And I think San Jose is going to win this series with home ice advantage, and I think that'll end up proving to be the difference for the Sharks. And now that Pavelski's back, it's just a different vibe there. Watching Game 7, you could tell, against the Colorado Avalanche, there was a different vibe with this San Jose team, and they're really the last big dog left, other than the Boston Bruins. You could maybe argue, but San Jose coming into the season, it was Tampa and San Jose, and those were the big teams, that were really going to be probably heading into late March, early May, and we'll see what happens with this series. I think, Binnington needs to keep cool. We saw him a little bit, toward the end of the Dallas series. He was getting frustrated, giving stick taps to Ben Bishop, crossing paths to, the locker room on the rink. So it's little things like that, and we'll see what happens with this series. I'm very excited. We're almost done, guys. The final 4 teams left on their march to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and to subscribe, and thank you for staying tuned.